Section 104. Bhisma continued. In olden days, Rama, the son of Jamadagni, in anger at the death of his father, slew with his battle axe the king of the Hayas, and Rama, by cutting off the 1,000 arms of Arjuna, the Haya king, achieved a most difficult feat in the world. Not content with this, he set out on his chariot for the conquest of the world, and taking up his bow, he cast around his mighty weapons to exterminate the Kshatriyas and the illustrious scion of Brigu's race. By means of his swift arrows, annihilated the Kshatriya tribe 120 times. And when the earth was thus deprived of Kshatriyas by the great Rishi, the Kshatriya ladies all over the land had offspring raised by Brahmanas killed in the Vedas. It has been said in the Vedas that the sons so raised belonged to him that had married the mother. And the Kshatriya ladies went in unto the Brahmanas not lustfully, but from motives of virtue. Indeed, it was thus that the Kshatriya race was revived. In this connection, there is another old history that I will recite to you. There was in olden days a wise rishi of the name of Utatya. He had a wife of name Mamata, whom he dearly loved. One day, Utatya's younger brother, Brihaspati, the priest of the celestial, who endued with great energy, approached Mamata. The latter, however, told her husband's younger brother, that foremost of eloquent men, that she had conceived from her connection with his elder brother, and that therefore he should not then seek for the consummation of his wishes. She continued, O illustrious Brihaspati, the child that I have conceived had studied in his mother's womb the Vedas with the 6 Angas. Semantum frustrapardi non protest. How can then this womb of mine afford room for 2 children at a time? Therefore, it behoveth thee not to seek for the consummation of thy desire at such a time. Thus addressed by her, Brihaspati, though possessed of great wisdom, succeeded not in suppressing his desire. Kum yute jam kum ila kautaras yaset. The child in the womb then addressed him and said, O father, cease from thy attempt. There is no space here for 2. O illustrious one, the room is small. I have occupied it first. Simantum pardi non protest. It behoveth thee not to afflict me. But Brihaspati, without listening to what that child in the womb said, sought the embraces of Mamata, possessing the most beautiful pair of eyes. Ile thamen muni, Q in venture erat punctum temporis co humor vitalis jam emisum irat providence. Viam per cum semen itrare posset pedibus ostrich. Simen ita excusum excidit et in terram projectum est. And the illustrious Brihaspati, beholding this, became indignant and reproached Utatya's child and cursed him, saying, Because thou hast spoken to me in the way thou hast at a time of pleasure, that is sought after by all creatures, perpetual darkness shall overtake thee. And from this curse of the illustrious Brihaspati, Utatya's child, who was equal unto Brihaspati in energy, was born blind and came to be called Dirgatmas, enveloped in perpetual darkness. And the wise Dirgatmas, possessed of a knowledge of the Vedas, though born blind, succeeded yet by virtue of his learning in obtaining for a wife a young and handsome Brahmin maiden of the name of Pradveshi, and having married the illustrious Dirgatmas for the expansion of Udatya's race, begat upon her several children, with Gautama as their eldest. These children, however, were all wedded to covetousness and folly. The virtuous and illustrious Dirgamatas, possessing complete mastery over the Vedas, soon after learned from Surabhi's son the practices of their order and fearlessly betook himself to those practices, regarding them with reverence. For shame is the creature of sin and can never be where there is purity of intention. Then those best of Munis that dwelt in the same asylum, beholding him transgress the limits of propriety, became indignant, seeing sin where sin was not. And they said, "O this man transgressed the limit of propriety. No longer doth he deserve a place amongst us. Therefore shall we all cast this sinful wretch off." And they said many other things regarding the Muni. Dirgamatas and his wife too, having obtained children, became indignant with him. The husband then addressing his wife, Pradveshi, said, "Why is it that thou also hast been dissatisfied with me?" His wife answered, "The husband is called the Partri because he supports the wife. He is called Pati because he protects her. But thou art neither. To me, O thou of great ascetic merit, on the other hand, thou hast been blind from birth. It is I who have supported thee and thy children. I shall not do so in future." Hearing these words of his wife, the Rishi became indignant and said unto her and her children, "Take me unto the Kshatriyas, and thou shalt then be rich." His wife replied by saying, "I desire not wealth that may be procured by thee, for that can never bring me happiness. O best of Brahmanas, do as thou likest. I shall not be able to maintain thee as before." At these words of his wife, Dirgamatas said, "I lay down from this day as a rule that every woman shall have to adhere to one husband for her life, be the husband dead or alive. It shall not be lawful for a woman to have connection with another, and she who may have such connection shall certainly be regarded as fallen. A woman without husband shall always be liable to be sinful, and even if she be wealthy, shall not be able to enjoy that wealth truly. Calumny and evil report shall ever dog her." Hearing these words of her husband, Pradveshi became very angry and commanded her sons, saying, "Throw him into the waters of Ganga." And at the command of their mother, the wicked Gautama and his brothers, those slaves of covetousness and folly, exclaiming, "Indeed, why should we support this old man?" tied the Muni to a raft, and committing him to the mercy of the stream, returned home without compunction. The blind old man, drifting along the stream on that raft, passed through the territories of many kings. One day a king named Vali, conversant with every duty, went to the Ganges to perform his ablutions, and as the monarch was thus engaged, the raft to which the rishis was tied approached him, and as it came, the king took the old man, the virtuous Vali, ever devoted to truth. Then, learning who the man was that was thus saved by him, chose him for rising up offspring. And Vali said, "O illustrious one, it behoveth thee to rise upon my wife a few sons, that shall be virtuous and wise." Thus addressed the Rishi, endued with great energy, expressed his willingness. Thereupon King Vali sent his wife Sudeshna unto him. But the queen, knowing that the latter was blind and old, went not unto him. She sent unto him her nurse, and upon that Sudra woman, the virtuous Rishi of passions under full control, begat 11 children, of whom Kakshivat was the eldest. And beholding those 11 sons with Kakshivat as the eldest, who had studied all the Vedas, and who, like rishis, were utterers of Brahma and were possessed of great power, King Vali one day asked the rishi, saying, "Are these children mine?" The rishi replied, "No, they are mine. Kakshivat and others have been begotten by me upon a Shudra woman. Thy unfortunate queen Sudeshna, seeing me blind and old, insulted me by not coming herself, but sending on to me instead her nurse." The king then pacified that best of rishis, and sent on to him his queen Sudeshna. The rishi, by merely touching her person, told her, "Thou shalt have 5 children, named Hanga, Vanga, Kalinga, Pundra, and Kumbha, who shall be like unto Surya, sun himself in glory, and after their names as many countries shall be known on earth. It is after their names that their dominants have come to be called Anga, Vanga, Kalinga, Pundra, and Kumbha." It was thus that the line of Vali was perpetuated in days of old by a great rishi, and it was thus also that many mighty bowmen and great car warriors wedding to virtue sprung in the Kshatriya race from the seed of Brahmanas. Hearing this, O mother, do as thou likest as regards the matter in hand. Thus ends the 104th section in the Sambhava Parva of the Adi Parva.